Are you ready to start living a more confident, successful, and safe life, regardless of what's going on in the world or what has happened in your past? Then you're at the right place at the right time. The FemVincible Podcast, where we bring you content and guests to help you focus on moving forward as the powerful you that you were truly meant to be. So welcome to FemVincible. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last episode. Don't be afraid, I'm not ending FemVincible Podcast. Welcome to the last episode of 2022. Today is December the 31st. And thanks for being here. Thanks for having watched me through my first year of putting these together. And by the way, here's a cool surprise. I will begin putting these on Spotify, so you can find them on Spotify in the new year. How's that? Awesome, right? Yay, FemVincible on Spotify. Of course, I'll have them here too, so you can still come here and watch the live, because I'm not doing all this crazy live stuff on Spotify, right? Only the edited stuff. Today, I want to tell you a little story about an orange tree. Actually, it's about two orange trees and how I took care of them. We like to buy those big navel seedless oranges. And when I was eating one, this is a couple of years ago, I cut it open, peeled it and took it apart. And sure enough, I found a seed in it. So I just put it to the side. And a few days later, I was eating another seedless orange. And sure enough, I found another seed. So we had a plant that had died in a small pot. I mean, it was only about that big around. It was not a big pot. And I thought, why not? I took both of the seeds, stuck them down in that dirt, and started watering them. In general, I'm pretty terrible at keeping plants alive, so I didn't have very high hopes for getting an orange tree. But lo and behold, it sprouted. Actually, it didn't sprout. They sprouted. Both seeds sprouted. So they started growing. I was so excited. Here's my little orange trees, and I'm curious if a tree has been made to provide seedless oranges, but a seed does show up. What does the new tree have? I'm guessing they're going to have seeds, but I don't know. Anyway, I was just really excited that they started growing, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually they were big enough, maybe a foot tall, two trees, foot tall, or if you're not in the US, what is that? A third of a meter? So I took it to, maybe they were a little taller than that, but I took them to a nursery to get them to repot the thing for me, because I have such bad luck with plants. And a lot of times when I repot something, it ends up dying, which is just heartbreaking, right? I mean, I'm sure that the plant's more upset about it than I am. But anyway, so we take it there, find a nice big pot, that's about that big around, and so that it can grow into a tree, or two trees rather. And when I took it in, the guy at the nursery said, "Oh, you're probably going to want to cut one of these trees, so that they're not fighting for the resources of the nutrients in the dirt." And I told him, I said, I did those from seed. He goes, "Oh, actually, if they're from seed, maybe you don't want to do that." And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give both of my trees the greatest chance to grow. And so I let them grow, and then I took them and I kind of wrapped them together, so that they would grow together. And he said that was really bad. He thought they did it by themselves. I wasn't going to own up to I did that. But anyway, so I unwrapped them and I started taking tissue paper that I wadded up into little rolls, and I pushed it between the little soft trunks, to push them apart so that they would grow more apart, which they have now. And so anyway, this is when I lived down in the South, where the air is very humid, a lot of moisture in the air. And then we moved to Utah. Utah is not a very humid area, and it's actually extremely dry. So I was thinking, what do I need to do with my tree that is now, almost a meter tall, which for my American friends, a meter is about a yard. Anyway, so I decided I'd make sure I water it really good. So I was watering it with 2 large glasses of water twice a week. I'm like, it's so dry here. And then my dogs started trying to eat the dirt too. So I bought a plastic cover to go over the dirt, 1, to keep the dogs from eating it, but 2, to help the moisture stay in the dirt, because I didn't want it to evaporate out because of the dry air. So that went okay for a while. And then my plant started looking sick. And here's what I learned. There's no drain hole in the bottom of the new pot that they put my tree in. I also learned that I was overwatering it terribly, that at this size of that tree, I should be watering it anywhere from maybe once a week to once a month. And so I was really overdoing it. So I was killing my plant. And with the plastic on there, the water couldn't evaporate. I was overwatering it horribly. And here it is now, a very sick tree. So now I've had to do some work. I'm still trying to get it back to healthy. So what's the point of this story, right? I was doing everything I could think of to love that plant into a healthy tree, but I was overdoing it. I planted seeds too close together. I have 2 trees that could possibly fight for resources now, which means one might kill the other, and now I'm not drowning it every week. And I'm also going to put a drain hole in that thing, not the tree, in the pot. But I was loving it to death. And I thought about that this morning as I've been thinking about this past year for me. In this past year, I've been trying to do a lot of internal work, a lot of self-care work, because of, the challenges that I've had in my past, in my childhood, that came up a few years ago for me. And I guess when it happens like that, when your brain's done a great job of keeping it hid for years, and in my case for decades, when it all comes back, all of a sudden, all the pain, all the trauma, all the challenge, all the fear, everything is back, and it's almost like it's brand new. So yeah, I've had quite the time working with that and trying to provide self-care for myself. And guys, if you're listening to this, we need self-care too, but don't do what I did, which I'm going to tell you. As I was looking at, what is self-care? What does that mean? To be a little bit gentler with myself, to not push myself so hard, to take into account the ways that I live now, or the ways that I experience life with that trauma now consciously in my life. And it seemed like the right thing to do. It's what I heard from my counselor, getting help for my challenges. It's what I heard from my wife. It's what I heard from other friends who have dealt with trauma in their life. And so I want to be healthy. I want my mind and psychology and everything to be healthy. So I was doing the best I could with it. But I think I overdid it. This past year, 2022, has been really good for my mental, my traumatic healing. I'm not sure how to put that. And yeah, if you've dealt with trauma, we never actually heal it. We get better, but there's always some stuff we're going to deal with. It's like getting a big cut on your arm, it might heal up and close up, but you might still have a scar. You might still have some damage to what was below it that never heals up, but you learn to work with it. And I guess that's the same way it goes with the wounds of trauma. So anyway, I was really trying to do everything I could think of to try to calm the inside me, to not hold on to the things that I've learned to do, like to keep people at a distance, don't let people close to you, and all the other things that I was doing as a trauma survivor that, a lot of you are aware of because you've had it in your life. How easy it is to just try to push people away. How easy it is to be really harsh with ourselves, and how easy it is to be upset with all the things we've done, all the ways we've been that have all been affected and strongly influenced by our ego, by our mind, trying to adjust to whatever trauma it was that we experienced. And the year 2022, I really worked hard on that. Some of that was good, but just like with my orange tree, I think I overdid it because I tried to remove so much pressure from myself so that I could heal that I feel like I lost my edge. I feel like I lost my drive. The year before I did really well with my business, but this year I've done really terribly with it. And it's not about the program. Program's great. It's about me trying to be so gentle with myself that I didn't push myself to market more, to reach more people, to help more people know that I'm even out there in the world, right? Nobody knows I'm here. I mean, I'm the only one on the planet doing a program like this. So, I mean, that's vital for me to get out, get on the phone, get in front of groups, do talks, do videos so that people know I'm there. But in my desire to relieve the pressure of, traumatic pain and traumatic baggage, I think I allowed myself to relax too much. I mean, that's good for healing, but it can be overdone. It's interesting that we actually need tension to grow well. I mean, that's how we grow our muscles, right? We lift heavier things, whether it's because you're a bodybuilder, like working in the gym, or maybe it's because you got a new job and you have to pick up bags of soil or, car pieces or whatever that may be heavier than what you're used to picking up. That stress causes our muscles to build. If you've ever seen the people on TV, that are breaking bricks with their fist or their head or whatever, don't try to do that because you can break your bones. And I learned something on a documentary that those guys who are punching through, 3 stacks of blocks, cement blocks, their bones are super dense, not because they were born that way, but because they had been hitting stuff for so long in training. That extra pressure, that extra impact, that extra tension caused their bones to become more dense. We have pores all through our bones, but those people have less pores and more density. So their bones are far stronger. Same for if you think about fireworks, which a lot of you are thinking about for tonight, for the New Year's celebration. All a firework is like gunpowder wrapped in paper and wrapped in a certain way so that it either pops or makes color or whatever. But here's the interesting thing. You can pour some gunpowder on something flat and burn it, and it just fizzes and burns, and there's no pop, there's no nothing. Don't do that in your hand. It'll burn your hand. But if you lay it on the ground, it just kind of sparks and fizzes. So to get that pop, that firework effect, it has to be wrapped in something tightly. So, the creators put the gunpowder in it, or whatever they're calling the powder. It's basically gunpowder. Wrap it real tight with a fuse in it. Well, now that energy that would normally just go psst, has nowhere to go. So it builds up pressure and it explodes like a firecracker. Same way dynamite works, same way bullets work, the same way TNT works, the same way, combustion in your car engine works. Because, there again, we have gas that goes in that would normally just burn, but it's compressed under high pressure. Then it's ignited, so it explodes bigger and I'm not going to give you a class in how engine work, but it requires that extra force from the pressure to do what it needs to do. So the tension isn't bad. The pressure isn't bad. It's needed for so many things. And I took that away from myself. So I didn't have a strong focus. My focus was on trying to heal some of the stuff I did, but everything else in my life, in my business, in my relationships, in my connections, kind of fizzled because I wasn't applying focus and tension and structure to them, because I was thinking that wouldn't be helpful for my healing. Well, guess what? I was wrong, because with too much self-care, just like too much care for my tree that I almost killed it, loving it to death, I've actually ended up taking less time to meet people, taking less time to teach courses, taking less time to get things done. Not meaning I did it in a shorter amount of time, meaning I didn't give it as much effort. So I'm happy that I recognize that. And in no way am I saying don't do self-care. Do self-care, you need it. But we have to look at it and go, how do I balance that with the stress that I need in my life? I mean, stress, such a dirty, terrible word, right? None of us want stress, but we need that stress. We need some stress to make things work. We need some tension to make things work. So I want you to think about, am I over self-caring so that I don't have enough compression, enough focus, enough direction with my energy in my life to achieve things? Because then we can go into this negative downward spiral where now I'm not making as much money as I need to, or I'm not connecting with the friends that I love so much, or doing the things that I love so much, getting on stages and teaching people how to be safe. And then we add that to how bad we feel with trauma things. And now we need more self-care. And then with more self-care, I got less work done. Then I needed even more self-care. So it ended up being a negative spiral. And I think that can happen for anyone. So what I would like for you to do is look at your life and, yes, certainly take care of yourself. Give yourself physical self-care. Give yourself spiritual self-care. Give yourself, psychological, emotional self-care. But take a look at it and make sure you are not drowning. Why do we throw a D in that? Drowning. Make sure you're not drowning the parts of you that need stress to grow, that need that tension. Because definitely we can grow hugely out of what feels like a negative situation, right? Getting that job where all of a sudden we have to pick up a bunch of heavy stuff every day, and then our muscles ache and hurt and burn for weeks until they get used to it, and all of a sudden we're stronger, right? So we need that tension. So look at your life. Where are you giving yourself self-care? And are you giving yourself the right amount? Are you not giving yourself enough? Or are you overdoing it, like I've been doing for myself and my poor orange tree? And when you look at that, recognize it, and then think, how can you take away a little self-care while still getting as much as you need? Like for me, one of the things I decided to do, and I just decided it this week, is all these, issues. I have this issue and this issue and this one that I deal with because of trauma things. I realize that I give them so much attention that they actually grow. What you give attention to, you give your energy to, and it will grow. And so I've decided whatever those things are, and, I have a whole list of them because I have books and books, notebooks and notebooks of journaling that I've done. I'm just going to stop thinking about them as much. I'm not going to worry that, I'm doing that, or that I don't have enough of this, or that I don't act like this enough, or I don't, any of that. And I just want to turn my eyes forward to the future. And I would just want to be more proactive, more positive. I want to invite some of the challenge back into my life, which is why in this year, I expect to reach out to a lot more businesses, a lot more organizations, to reach out to a lot more speaking opportunities, which for my trauma brain, my ego mind that is scared and doesn't want to change is terrifying. And that's okay. I need that terrifying part. I need to move into that part that is scary for me. Where before I was thinking I shouldn't do that. It's too scary. There's enough scariness in my trauma that I'm trying to avoid that. But that's not what's helping me. I want to avoid what caused my trauma. I don't want that stuff to happen to me anymore. But I still need challenge. I still need focus. I still need tension in my life to move me ahead, to help me grow. So that's my goal for this year, to do more things that are scary, to get me back on track and back into a place where I'm comfortable doing the uncomfortable, where I'm courageous enough to do the scary things, because that's where I'll find growth personally and in my business, so that I can reach more women, more families, and help them to be safe. I want you to do that for yourself too. Sit down, do some journaling, look at what maybe you're overdoing it in self-care. And remember, your ego mind, who never wants you to change, because even a good change can be scary, right? So your ego mind doesn't want you to change, is really going to throw a lot of stuff at you. Mine's already doing it. So yeah, that's going to happen. So as you're journaling, think about it and go, yeah, you're right, ego mind. That is scary. You're right, inner self. That is scary. You're right, inner child. It is scary. But guess what? It will help us grow. It's okay for us to be a little bit scared. It's okay for us to be a little bit sore from the work that we do. And we need that. That helps us. So we need to reinforce that to our ego mind. Yeah, it's going to be scary, and we're going to do it anyway, because as we grow through that, that thing we're doing will be less scary until it's not scary at all. So do that for yourself. If you've dealt with trauma, it's bigger and easier to see. If you haven't dealt with something that you call trauma or traumatic, even though there's probably been a lot of things in your life that did affect you like trauma does, you might not see it as easily. But take a look, do some journaling, write down, what am I doing for myself? What am I overdoing for myself that's keeping me from growing? What am I not doing that I know would help me grow, but I've been putting it off and using the excuse that, that's about self-care. That's about me taking care of me. I need to not work a bigger job. I need to not be on a bigger stage. That's scary. I don't want the little me inside to be scary, to be scared. But you know what I do want? The little me inside is to be courageous and proud and strong. So I have to suck it up, push the fear down, and step into a little more tension. And I'm not telling you to go do the most terrifying, horrible thing you can think of. Don't do that. That can set you up for failure. But you can look at something that's a little bit scary. Go volunteer to do that talk in the group you're in. Reach out and make some friends with people that you don't know at all. Do some of those things to help get past, maybe giving yourself too much self-care, drowning yourself and keeping yourself safe through self-care, because we can keep ourselves so safe that it hurts us. If you're terrified of poisons, you decide not to drink anything or eat anything because it could have poison in it. What do we end up doing? We starve to death, right? So we have to have things that are a little bit risky. We just mitigate that. We choose the smaller risks, but we still want to risk to grow, for the tension, for the positive stress that helps us grow instead of the stress that causes us to break, or to keep the stress that keeps us from growing. And, this just feels like a good, powerful way to end the year for me, because I want to move into helping more people this year. I want to make more people safe. I want to stop more gender violence. I want to stop more domestic abuse. I want to stop more sexual assaults. I want to make more women and girls and children safe. And that means I have to step up. I have to step up more than I did last year. So the new year, 2023, is looking like a big, scary challenge to me. But I need that scary. And I hope that you will do the same. Look at this past year, or the past decade, or whatever it is you need to look at, and then look forward and try to find some tension, some stress, something that's a little bit scary that you can do to help you overcome the stuff of the past, to help you overcome where you may have overwatered your self-care plant. That's a weird metaphor, but you know what I'm saying. All right. So do that for yourself. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for you guys too, because if I don't do it, I may not bring you the content that you really need to hear. I may not get a class into your area. I may not bring the right course to your town, or, so it's not just for me. I want to do this for you too. Do the same for you. Do it for your family. Do it for your friends, so they get back to the real, powerful, incredible you, not the you that's hiding and being afraid. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I have to look at my note real quick to make sure I didn't miss anything. No, I got it all. Nice job, Cran. So thanks for being here. I'm glad you've been with me for as much as you have, whether this is your first episode with me or you've seen every one. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you. Send me a note. Let me know what you want to hear about in this new year. Let me know who you'd like to see as a guest in the new year, and I will do what I can to get them on. All right. Don't forget, I'm going to be on Spotify. I'll put some posts on the Facebook page and in the groups I'm in, so that you guys know how to find me, which I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah. And that's it. I hope you've had a good year. I hope you look into the new year to make it better, to make it better and more exciting and more successful for you and for your kids and for those people around you that are always looking at you as an example, even if you don't know they're looking at you that way. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful New Year's, and be safe in your New Year's celebration. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. This has been a production of LabCalf LLC and FemVincible.com.